Hey, I'm here to talk to you about upcoming events that is regarding in science and technology and basically engineering. And here there's works in the plan, or there's plans in the works for future developments basically regarding warp travel and warp flight and the possibility of faster than light travel technology. And I'm going to read you a little bit from my operator's manual that I created in this folder here with my brilliantly illustrated pictures and pictograms with all of the specifications and all the technical apparatuses that are involved in making this warp drive engine compatible with the idea of developing a real working warp drive engine technology. I will read you something from one of the pages that I printed out and created my own concept for my warp drive engine project. And here it is. Updated information and diagram description for warp drive engine for starships that travels faster than the speed of light. To have a real working and functioning warp drive engine, first you will have to have a containment field inside of a nuclear reactor style containment housing setup. The construction that is designed to house the interaction within the warp drive engine itself. Inside of a containment field, you will have a superheated electrically charged or electromagnetically charged argon or xenon gas with the gas element of hydrogen or helium. And inside of the plasma gas, you would have the center of the plasma gas. You would build and construct a lattice-style double helix created out of electrically charged magnetic copper coils that is induced with electromagnetic fields through the form of plasma. That plasma is enhanced by the neodymium process of the neodymium magnetic components. Outside of the lattice-style double helix construction of the electrically charged magnetic copper coils, you will have an inner platform which would house the electrically charged or electromagnetically charged lithium phosphate crystal, and there would be a setup and construction for a red photon laser beam for projector or emitter that emits high-powered doses of photon radiation or photon frequency energy into a lithium phosphate crystal. And there would be a setup and construction. Oh yeah, I read that. Powerful beams of red photons into the electromagnetically charged lithium phosphate crystal, thus magnifying the energy input of the photon energy from the 10 to the power of 10 to be able to produce the initial electrical charge inside of the warp drive engine containment field setup. You would have to construct a framework for the electromagnetically charged liquid hydrogen peroxide or hydrogen-based H2 or hydrogen 2 process for the containment for the process of developing the process of creation, which would go into the production of deuterium and tritium. And which would create the system that you would need, which would give it the initial burst of electrical energy or electromagnetic frequency. The inside walls would have to be covered by a magnetically dense 2-inch thick aluminum foil plating. Electrically charged magnets or electromagnetically charged magnets in the outer part of the housing would have to be made out of insulated 2-foot thick steel, thus creating a real working warp drive engine for real working faster than light starship technology, or starships, the vehicles themselves. Thus you will then begin to produce a warp bubble around the entire ship, thus warping space around the body of the starship, thus shortens and pulls space in front of the starship and expands and pushes space in the back of the starship, creating a warp-capable thrust in a matter of seconds. Thus, the starship flies and travels at incredible velocities at enormous distances in a short amount of time. I believe that we have the capabilities to build a warp drive engine and even starships as well. We already have the necessary materials and resources as well as the science and engineering to be able to build warp-driven starship vehicles in space and on Earth. Copper coils, lithium phosphate crystals, laser beam projectors or emitters, argon plasma gas, electricity for one thing, electrically charged magnets, an electromagnetic field or the production of it, or of one thing, the electrical volts or electrical voltage, steel 2-inch thick aluminum foil plating, nuclear isotopes of liquid hydrogen peroxide or liquid hydrogen H2, which is the desired component to produce deuterium and tritium for the nuclear process of creating that fusion energy to create that enough power and enough energy to create that thrust to warp the space around the ship to thrust it faster than the speed of light. Using lasers. When you use lasers in the device, when you point the laser beam, the laser emitter, to the crystal inside of a field of plasma, then you will begin to produce a greater field output that is needed to develop a warp-capable thrust. I believe that the same principles applies when it comes to the creation of a warp drive engine, warp or electromagnetic hydrogen plasma fusion reactor, and that it has a whole lot of potential for warp travel, i.e. star travel, including the creation of a buzzard ramjet and scramjet inside of a warp nacelle housing, which would have the warp coils, and you will be able to build and construct a buzzard ram scoop hydrogen collector, antimatter collector, the CNO cycle that is found in stars. When stars go between carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen in some of their fusion processes. It's natural, it's found in the universe, it's what they do. They've been doing it for hundreds of billions of years, since the dawn of time and since the dawn of the creation of the universe, or its founding, or its inception, or its Big Bang, whatever you call it. H2 inside of the buzzard collectors. Buzzard collectors would be part of the warp nacelles. You would have a toroidal warp coils inside of the warp nacelle. It would use a toroidal coil, and it would be stacked like this. I'll show you what it would look like. This here are the toroidal coils stacked side by side from front to back. The front and the back of each toroidal coil would face each other in accordance in a straight line in the cylinder of each warp nacelle. the particles that is collected inside of the device, inside of the warp drive engine, would be through a particle aperture, i.e. particle accelerator. It would accelerate the photons and the atoms that is needed for that fuel to become necessary for the powering of the warp drive engine and the propulsion energy and the fuel that is needed to help make the warp nacelles work as needed to propel the ship faster than the speed of light halfway across the cosmos, halfway across the galaxy. I believe that the same principle applies when it comes of a warp and drive engine warp core electromagnetic hydrogen plasma fusion reactor. I went over that. Buzzer collectors, warp nacelles, but inside of a thing known as a it talks about the MEVs. I don't fully remember what it's called. I would have to go back and look over some of my notes on Facebook. But yeah. And I'm planning on doing some scientific experiments using and with the possibility of harnessing liquid hydrogen fuel with Nikola Tesla Rodin coil technology, powerful neodymium magnets, a high-powered, i.e. powerful red photon laser beamer, i.e. shooter, i.e. laser emitter, aluminum foil plating, lithium crystal to generate a warp field generating electromagnetic hydrogen plasma field inside of a homemade warp drive engine hydrogen plasma fusion reactor. I'm going to go ahead with the project in hopes that I can begin to gain new members. In hopes, here I'm going to read it back again. Warp drive engine hydrogen plasma fusion reactor core. In hopes that I can and will somehow produce exceptional results in the very first stages of my warp drive engine warp core concept project. And I'm going to go ahead with the project in hopes that I can begin to gain new members and people to the project. I'm calling it and I'm dubbing it the Phoenix Project, or the Flight of the Phoenix. I will have to start by myself in order for an already existing project that others might want to join. I have to find out I have to find out where I can get my materials and resources from. I'm planning on getting a Tesla Rodin coil tower, i.e. cylinder, inside of my hydrogen plasma fusion reactor core, i.e. warp drive engine warp core. I will be incorporating Tesla coil technology with hydrogen plasma fusion technology. I have studied the scientific works of people like Nikola Tesla, Dr. Robert W. Buzzard, Hans Bethe, Ernest Rutherford, Ray Davis, Stanley Pons, and Martin Fleischmann. Stanley Pons and Martin Fleischmann, they are the founders of the cold fusion energy movement. Firo Naji Mahdi and Dr. Edward Moses and Paul Derek, as well as Franklin Chang Diaz. I am planning on combining the works of Nikola Tesla, Dr. Robert W. Buzzard, Hans Bethe, Ernest Rutherford, Ray Davis, Stanley Pons, and Martin Fleischmann with concepts from Firo Naji Mahdi and Dr. Edward Moses, Paul Derek, and Franklin Chang Diaz. And to date, this is imagine an ability to using and harnessing salt water, which hydrogen 2 or H2 can also be found in. Is good for hydrogen production for the use of electromagnetic hydrogen plasma fusion energy, a part of the electromagnetic hydrogen plasma fusion reactor, i.e. warp drive engine warp core. I'm also going to need lithium phosphate crystals, pure gas form of oxygen, hydrogen gas, helium gas, xenon gas, argon gas, nitrogen gas or liquid, and carbon dioxide gas for the carbon dioxide part of the molecular component of fuel-based production, which is found in the CNO, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen cycle of stars. And I will also need neodymium, magnetic, rare earth minerals, copper, and aluminum, and a laser emitting device unit. Hydrogen isotopes known as deuterium and tritium from the reaction that takes place within the hydrogen plasma field. As it converts over to helium during the hydrogen plasma state, it will convert it into helium, thus releasing deuterium and tritium. You can find this hydrogen from ocean salt water. It has to be a salt-based sea or salty ocean water. By directing and manipulating the electromagnetic field around the body of the ship in order to move the ship forward, plasma can be steered electromagnetically. Thus the plasma field can be turned around the body of the ship and thus be shot towards around the front of the ship, and then move around and eventually make its way underneath towards the back of the ship, creating a field of a kinetic electromagnetic thrust. The faster the thrust, the faster the ship moves faster and faster. In the two warp nacelles will do that along with the warp drive engine. Imagine a ball, and inside of the ball is the ship. It does not move, but the ball moves as it rolls from forward. The ship does not move inside of the ball. That is what I'm trying to achieve here, faster than light travel. The only thing that does not move is the ship itself. The warp field does as it rolls, i.e. rotates, moves around the ship. As it is the one moving through space. But inside of the field, the ship is still stationary. Towards the front of the warp nacelle, directly in back of the scramjet, i.e. ram scoop, will be a part of the unified engine. The particle aperture and the buzzard collector, i.e. particle collector, will be a part of the ramjet and scramjet, i.e. ram scoop system. It will send the energy and fuel down into the nacelle arms, into the main body of the ship, into the electromagnetic hydrogen plasma fusion reactor warp drive engine warp core, thus sending the needed energy into the body of each of the nacelles, giving them total thrust, thus propelling the Starship forward. Not only that, but within the system itself, it will then begin to create a stable warp field around the entire body of the warp ship, i.e. Starship, creating a warp field. The element. Now here's this. This is the doppelganger in all of this. Element Li3 lithium phosphate crystal. The element of the phosphate element will be working along with element 115 pentinium and the element Nd60 neodymium. I plan to include this element in element 115 into my warp drive engine warp nacelle. I will use this in conjunction with lithium crystal. It will be included into my warp drive engine warp core chamber in my buzzard ramjet warp nacelles, and will become a part of the operating system in the list of important elements. This will be another important list of elements that will be used with my concept and within my design for my warp ship, i.e. Starship, for faster than the speed of light travel technology. By shooting a pulse of charged energy through the elements of element Li3 lithium phosphate and element Nd60 neodymium magnet, elements within the charge goes through these two elements first, then it will make its way to the element 115 ununptenium, this dramatically slowing down the decay process of the element itself by harnessing the key factors in the other two elements. It will slow it down dramatically and even an already activated field of hydrogen plasma field inside of the containment field. It will literally grab it, halt the decay of the plasma inside of a hydrogen plasma field of energy, i.e. reaction created by another two elements, element Li lithium phosphate and the element Nd60 neodymium-magnetic element. This will begin to even harness the key factors in energy of the element 115, ununptenium, through a hydrogen plasma fusion process itself. Hot fusion reactors can produce superheated plasma energy, glowing electromagnetic fields, and expanding fusion energy, produced by hydrogen squeezed into helium gas, thus releasing the directed energy from its protons and neutrons, thus producing light and energy, causing a reaction of neutrons to be released outward in all directions. But the plasma can be produced and created out of xenon and argon gases. Hot fusion reactors like these can start producing unlimited amounts of energy from the molecular structure of the atomic matter-antimatter resources of the subatomic quantum universe, thus producing an unimaginable amount of limitless energy from the neutrons, electron fields, atoms, nucleus of the universe through subatomic particles through the molecular particle medium of elemental noble gases. But this can be increased by a factor of 4 using the methods of laser fusion, which then creates a compressed core, thus expanding the plasma energy fields around the core energy of fusion protection center of the fusion energy chamber using laser beams of directed input energy of starter, i.e. starter energy. I want 2 buzzard ramjet scramjet buzzard collectors to 1 fusion reactor warp core engine. Basically 2 sets of buzzard collectors, i.e. ramjets, to 1 fusion core or warp core reactor, connected by 2 arms and or pylons outside of the warp ship. It will be a part of the combined warp drive apparatus and or combined FTL engine, and would use both 2 buzzard to 1 fusion reaction, and to be used as a combined engine. It would help power each other and would send a in a manner, it would sending and returning power and or energy back to each other, back and forth. I'm hoping to achieve a loop of energy within the combined engine within the system itself, and hope it will create a stable but energetic environment for the combined engine and or in system itself. Hydrogen H2 hydrogen gas component of the hydrogen molecule, hydrogen 2H2 called deuterium, the isotope of hydrogen within 1 proton, 1 neutron, and 1 electron. How a warp drive engine will be powered may be powered by and from what matter and antimatter reaction created out of a hydrogen plasma fusion process, by a fusion reaction creating deuterium tritium to helium fusion reaction from hydrogen of protons and neutrons, using the key components of oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon. There you go, the fusion process, the CNO cycle that is found in stars. Through the catalyst field of hydrogen to helium plasma gas, of electrical or electromagnetic energy and mass from a CNO carbon nitrogen oxygen H2 field protection, thus producing a stable warp field and creation of a warp plasma field inside of the warp drive engine itself. I plan to turn salt water into hydrogen, then through the process of turning that into electromagnetically charged plasma gas as it begins to turn into helium gas during a fusion reaction process, and as it is producing the deuterium and tritium from the reaction that takes place within the hydrogen plasma field. is it converts over to helium during the hydrogen plasma state. It will convert it into helium, thus releasing the deuterium and tritium. And there you go. That's what I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to be putting out future videos, and I will have more details, and I'm going to be releasing in some of my videos later on. See you for now, and I'll be making more. I believe that I have solved the key issue regarding warp travel, the possibility of faster than light capabilities of actual starflight. I will have more later on. Thank you.